Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the ACHA Power Play live here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. And of course, on our Extravaganza Facebook page. We're live on. I invite you to watch us live and subscribe to our YouTube channel, of course, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network. You get all of our content, all of our ACHA Power Plays live and archived. And we got some great interviews lined up. Hard to believe it's season 10, and it's episode 2 this week. Last week, we had great conversation with Cliff Cook, for the assistant coach of Drury College, who's off to a great start. They are this weekend, or this year, rather. And so we're excited to roll on again with season 10. Again, episode 2 here tonight live. Momentarily, we're going to welcome in David Herman from Hockey House Podcast. These guys do such an amazing job covering the ACHA. They've got a great podcast that they do, and excited to talk to David here momentarily. And then at the bottom of the hour, Tim Healy, the head coach of the IcePack of North Carolina State. They made the jump to D1. A lot of teams did this year. They're going to make the jump up and see how they can how they stand and how they can measure up in D1 this year. So we're going to talk to Tim at the bottom of the hour. So a lot to talk about. We'll go through the preseason rankings again and everything ACHA hockey. But without any further ado, let's bring him in. He is from Hockey House Podcast. Does a wonderful job, David Herman. Herm, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thanks so much for having me, Lou. I really appreciate it.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. So here we go. We've got another ACHA season underway. Some schools have played 8 games already, and I like to call it the road to St. Louis. It's started up. It's gone down around the first curve, if you will. Still a ways to go, but 6 months goes rather quickly before you know it. We'll be in St. Louis in March.
No doubt. I'm excited. The home at Centene, home away from home, it'll be a ton of fun.
So let's talk a little bit about last year. Some of I know you weren't able to make it, but you saw it from afar. It was a crazy, crazy tournament with the weather delays and the relocations. But all that aside, another year of great hockey. With the great story. Let's start out with what UNLV brought, not only at the national tournament, but winning that classic game against DU.
Oh my God. I had the pleasure of being on the sticks that night for BR Open Ice. It was a story that no one else in the Slack channel wanted to cover. And I was like, guys, we have to be on this. And I had the privilege of liaisoning with Megan Roma, their social media manager, from afar. And I had that prepped. I had that ready to go. I was freaking out in my room as that was all going on, and was very, very proud to be the first media outlet to report that as it was happening. I was ecstatic, celebrating, joyous for the state of club hockey, for Vegas, for their hockey community. It was so, so cool to see that. Surreal to know that a club hockey team would beat an NCAA D1 team like that.
It just does wonders for the brand. And you and I talked about it before we came on the air. They have jumped in leaps and bounds. In the last few years, the last 5 years especially, the word has gotten out, and something like that will do nothing but it has done nothing but positive things for them, and it's exciting to see what's ahead this year for the ACHA.
No doubt, no doubt. It's so cool to see a warm weather location like Vegas embrace a team like that. It's something that my brother has talked about on the last couple of episodes of the pod, of just hockey in non-traditional environments, and to see them embrace the champions at every single Vegas event in their like state tour, basically, was so,
Yeah.
so cool.
And you look at at Division One, it is so hard to repeat as a champion. I don't think anybody. It's been a while since anybody's done it. I think, if ever, at the D1 level. It's you've got all the usual players. You've got Liberty, you've got Adrian, you've got Ohio, you've got the list goes on and on. UNLV is the hunted now. The target's on their back, but they're not going to go away quietly. And Coach Greener's got he's got a loaded team coming in this year.
Yeah, the recruiting class is stacked. I mean, I saw it over the offseason. They are deep at every single position. I'm fired up to see them this weekend versus Denver, uh, and see if they can pull a Cinderella once again.
I got a feeling Denver, if they even slightly took them lightly last year,
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to this year. This is going to be more than an exhibition, I think, for Denver. I've got a friend of mine that lives out there that follows DU, and I kind of mentioned it to him, and he said I would bet my house that they're going to come out guns a blazing in that one.
swinging, swinging. It's gonna be a gong show for sure. I think I think the tone of the broadcasters is gonna change a little bit to the kind of hand waving they did at the very end of the air quotes on exhibition on this one. I think that
Yeah.
friendly nature of it might kind of vanish into thin air.
But what a great thing, though, like we just said, for the ACHA to be able to say that now that, the big dogs, if you will, are taking the ACHA serious, and it's so fun to see.
Yeah, it's so cool to see so many kids that really didn't consider it as a traditional path, seeing the exposure of these big brands and small ones too on social media, just from the content that they're putting out there,
Mhm.
and kind of changing the direction of their collegiate trajectories of not being like, okay, once I'm done with juniors, that's it. Like there's a real goal to go and play ACHA and be at these schools and be noticed. Like if you have aspirations of playing pro now, it's not just you played club and you're done. So these kids are getting shots in the Fed, the SP, and
Yeah.
beyond. It's really, really cool to see.
So Herm, a hockey hotbed, um, really that's come on in the last, I don't know, maybe 20 years, but it's really taken off in the ACHA is down in the Southeast. You know, it's great to see the Hockey South coming back with the Florida teams in D3 and D2 back to the ACHA. We'll talk about that in a bit. But we've got some teams that are moving up to D1, including our guests in the second half hour tonight, North Carolina State, the IcePack. You got North Carolina. It is amazing to see the crowd that they get for their outdoor games down there. It's insane.
I had the privilege of being welcomed into Carter Finley Stadium with Murph, with a couple of the other Hockey House guys. And I, I wouldn't even call it a top three hockey game. I'd call it a top three life experience.
Yeah.
I can vividly picture being in the photo hole and hearing the echoing wolf pack chants from both sides of the stadium and just taking a moment to soak it in and see this absolutely packed stadium. We went into that game just internally between Murph and I and being like, all right, if we get a couple of thousand people at this
Yeah.
game, it'd be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And then the building just kept getting more and more packed, and it just got ratcheted up as the day went on. The sty of the guys coming out with no buckets for warm-ups, those photos going viral. You could feel it in the locker rooms. We got to see it both in the NC State and the UNC ones. The way that the crowds responded for how that game went, it was unbelievable. It was the same energy that they had had the night before for the Stadium Series for the Canes,
Mhm.
uh, just with two different teams on the ice. Raleigh showed out, and I was so impressed with the fan support, the professionalism from both organizations. It's so cool to see the impact that the Hurricanes have had on that region.
So, Herm, I don't want to see it happen, but I'm interested to get your take on it. Do you think these teams, the end game and the ultimate goal is to hop up to NCAA? And do you think it's a possibility down the road for the likes of North Carolina, NC State, maybe a Georgia Bulldog team? As I know they've built that brand new facility down there.
Yeah, I think the goal for these programs definitely is.
Hmm.
Um, And with the work you talk about, there's one more. You mentioned Bama too. The work of Savannah Prefontaine
Oh,
to build a grassroots movement down in
yeah.
Tuscaloosa, and her work not only with the Bama hockey teams, but then ultimately with College Hockey South. Like she is
Yeah.
such a gem of a person to try and contribute to that movement of growing the game. I think the end goal for sure is to go D1. You see it on Reddit for people clamoring of like, all right, we're done with club, let's keep going. I'm like, all right, we can enjoy the club level a little bit longer. Let's have some fun with this. This must be how people were thinking about Penn State before they wound up making the jump in what, the early 2000s, I want to say mid 2000s.
Yep.
Of they had just had so much momentum and so much fan support as programs, and they really built their programs to a level that it was undeniable. And I'm sure that that's Tim's goal at the end of the day. And I'm sure that that's what these power schools want to have at the end of the day, is make it undeniable to be like, all right, universities, let's take notice and make the jump. I will continue to enjoy these brands and these teams and these programs and the talent associated with them while they're here. Believe me. But it's like it'll be like saying goodbye to an old friend.
Sure.
Of knowing that they hit the goal that they wanted to accomplish, and you were there to help support them along the way.
So Herm, another team that made the jump to D1 is taking the championship belt with them. And to say that, I'm not surprised they made the jump. I'm surprised it took as long as it did, but Hope
Definitely.
College is now a D1 team. They're going to play in the GL6. It's kind of like the Big Ten with 18 football teams. I personally, if I know Chris Van Timmeren, and I know him quite well, it's not going to take long for them to make noise at the D1 level. It's Grand Rapids is a hockey hotbed, just like it is down south.
Yeah.
And they've got a winning culture there. I'm really excited to see how well they do this year in the GL6. I think they're going to hold their own. They started with a sweep this past weekend of Aquinas. What do you make of their chances in D1 this year?
I want to draw a comparison to another orange and blue team that followed a similar trajectory to them, that being UMary. They dominated at their own respective level. And I remember being like, all right, UMary was a stellar D2 team. Let's see him take 3 to 4 years to get settled in at the M1 level, and then we'll go. And now UMary is knocking on the door perpetually of being a top 10 team. I could absolutely, like, with the fan support and university support that Hope gets, and we saw it when Jake, he was detailing it when Jake Onstadt came on the pod for our return. Just it's so much energy and so much momentum behind that program. I could absolutely see them as a top 25 team very much in the near future.
They're so much fun to watch, so well coached, and their rivalry with Calvin and even with Aquinas and Grand Rapids it really is fun to be a part of, and I'm excited to see what they do. And that's a great comparison. I've gotten to know Dan Huntley at Mary, and I've never seen a team start out as hot as they did at the D2 level. They weren't eligible the first year. They probably could have won it that year, and then the tear that they were on, kind of like Sioux College was at men's D3. And I think Mary is, they've started out a little slow this year, but they played great competition as well. It's a great comparison.
You mentioned Sioux too. I want to take it over to the women's side of things as well. Like, that's another program that, like, I feel like has hit their maximum in women's too. I remember seeing those pool play and championship games in person, being like, Sioux is really, really dominating the competition out there. I would love to see them ultimately make the jump to women's one. And I would love to see them match up in a final of Sioux versus Minot, Liberty, Adrian, a team like Maryville that has come out of just continued to build their program in a hockey factory sort of way. I would love to see them become a powerhouse at the women's one level, and maybe someone else can take the championship slot besides Sioux and Assiniboine.
Yeah, maybe. It just it seems like, we try to hope for that. And I love the folks up at Sioux. I know Brienne stepped down.
Yep.
So it's big shoes to fill, and they've got.
She's
great
going to the Hall of
programs.
Fame. I saw. I don't know if you caught that, by the way. She and one other coach got inducted in the inaugural class. I was looking through Sioux's website for a game of the week thing, and it happened to be on the homepage. So congratulations to her on that.
Oh, for sure. And she's a hockey person through and through, and whatever she does from here on out, it's gonna be. I'm sure she's gonna do wonderfully. So that leads to my next question. Back to D3, with Hope gone. The MCHC. I got to toot their horn because that's where I'm located. I mean, can Air Force or somebody else maybe this year knock somebody off out of the MCHC to get that crown? I mean, you can't get any closer than what they did, with that
Yeah.
lead going into third period. And that was a comeback of the ages right there.
Just a stunning
Oh,
game. I mean, you look at a team like Air Force, you look at a dark horse team like Colorado School of Mines, which,
yeah.
God, I'm such an ACHA sicko that Colorado School of Mines having a competitive hockey team is just the most
Mhm.
deep cut sort of knowledge. It's I'm excited to see what competition emerges at the M3 level to fill that gap that Hope is leaving.
And just bouncing around here while we got you on, it's, I look at the D2 level, and I love the format. I still love the regional tournament qualifying. It's an absolute blast. I've been
Yeah.
able to broadcast some of the regional games. Last year was no exception down in Evansville. It was so much fun. But to me, Lindenwood finally was able to do it. So happy for Gary, up over the top, if you will. But to me, that division is so wide open. I
It's
mean,
so much fun. It's
yeah,
so much fun. I think it's the closest to March Madness in that
yes,
regional settings that we get. Of we go in and you see those Cinderella teams emerge from
yeah,
regionals in a way that they don't at the M1 or really any other level
yeah,
within the ACHA. Of like those initial teams that hop on a flight out to St. Louis for M1 and they're there for the wild card round and then they get bounced by Adrian. Like
yeah,
that's their show.
yeah.
The ones that can claw and scratch their way through regionals, that's where the stories get built. And those teams go on and make deep runs. It's so I love, love, love the intrigue and drama that comes with regionals.
The first team that comes to mind to me is Iowa in
Yeah.
Marlboro. You and I were talking before we came on tonight about about Marlboro, and Kevin Brooks, the head coach at the time. Their team stayed at our hotel, and they were. I broadcasted their regional, and they were like a 3-day team to get to St. Louis or to Massachusetts, and then a 4 seed. you
Mhm.
know, and then last year or 2 years ago, 2 4 seeds, a 3 and a 4 winning it all. You're absolutely right. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's so much fun to see those teams come in and challenge.
So I saw you mention something on your podcast preview about the Kentucky and NC State game a
Oh,
while back.
yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Oh, are we talking about the one that was the ESPN Plus Classic relatively
Yes,
recently?
yes,
Oh god, it's so first off, it's so cool to see NC State on ESPN Plus and it not just exclusively being Liberty having access to like those really really high quality streams. As a broadcaster, I'm sure you can empathize with this how much it does for the reputation and the prestige of a program to
yeah,
wind up on a platform like that. The better your stream, the better your broadcast, the better production, the the farther your clips are going to go. And
right,
maybe some people get upset when we start posting a lot of NC State, Kentucky at Liberty clips. It's kind of because they have the best broadcasts.
right.
But it's so when when NC State winds up coming back and you're seeing this absolutely packed Wake Competition Center lose it for a down to the wire game, the nice little scrap at the end of overtime, the dagger to win it in the shootout. It's so cool to see the reception from the Wolfpack fans that they got in that evening.
So is this going to be the start of another dynasty for Liberty's women's D1 program?
Oh, I think the rest of women's one would absolutely be like, please no, because it was such a reign of terror for so long to borrow a wrestling
Yeah,
term there. Um, it they're so good. They're so deep. They're so well funded and staffed and resourced. For them to, it's inevitable that they're going to be in that conversation every single year. And year by year, the question is who's going to challenge that dominance.
Right.
I would be stunned if we don't see them in a semifinals or finals appearance. They just have such a great thing going for that women's program down in Lynchburg.
How do you like the format compared to what it was like in the past when you get to the national tournament with the women's D1?
Remind me on that.
It's they're basically it's a pool play with 4 pools of 3 because they've got a 12-team tournament, and the tie break is, I believe, goal differential. I liked it because, again, I know it was double elimination the first couple of rounds until you got to the quarters. I like that they're guaranteed at least 2 games.
Yeah. I think if you're
Everybody is.
especially for these programs, like if you're making the trip out there, like you want to make sure you're getting your values worth out of that tournament for an experience sort of thing. So it definitely makes sense for women's one to kind of pivot in that direction.
So you've been doing your homework. At least I hope you have been. Give me a surprise team at the
Ooh,
D1 level that could
at the
maybe
D1
make
level.
like, somebody like a Northwood that got to the national tournament, or like a couple years ago, Oswego State, Travis Hyde's team, or
Yep.
Niagara, who's now a mainstay along with Drury, always in the top 10. Who would be a surprise team to keep an eye out for this
Oh,
year?
you're picking my easy dark horses with that one too, because I'm such good buddies with Tom Moradian, and I'm sure he wants me
Yes.
to pick he wants me to pick Niagara for this. Who's a team that I would go with? Um sneaky and good. I have to give some respect to Pitt,
Yeah.
just because of some little friendly banter that I had with them last year, and just the resilience that they showed in those first couple of rounds. I wrote them off at the beginning of the tournament. I thought they were getting bounced round 1, and that was not meant to be. I thought it was it showed a lot about the program that they got in there that first weekend against West Virginia, and they crashed the party, and did it emphatically. I could see that Pitt team, if they really put some stuff together, wind up being a competitive program.
I know these guys a preseason rank a top 10. I'm going to keep an eye out. My surprise team's going to be Utah. I just like the brand of hockey they're playing out there, and I think they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. I think they just, the loss they had against Drury in the opening round last year
Yeah,
was one that I know they want to have back. And I love Drury. Don't get me wrong. Jeremy Law's team is great, but I just, Utah, I think, could be a team to watch out for.
that could be a lot of fun. That WCHL is so deep, and it's so tough. Every single week we're picking these games to watch, and we have this rotating cast of WCHL characters that keep popping up. Like, it's so easy to be like, all right, Arizona State, Utah,
Yes.
UNLV, GCU versus Utah. Like, the matchups are so competitive that it's such a fun brand of hockey to watch. Maybe my bedtime doesn't like watching those
Yeah. Well,
games
you
when
and me
they
both.
wind up having late puck drops, but
Yeah. It's well worth it. All right. I got about 90 seconds. What's your next project, Herm?
continuing to grow the hockey house. We're on to
Yep.
Hockey House 2.0. Recently took over fully as the head of operations for Hockey House. Having my younger brother Alex Herman as a host is incredible. Having a talented broadcaster and club hockey historian like Devin Sarah is an excellent compliment. Continuing to grow this game, continuing to grow this brand, and showcasing the best of club hockey.
Well, do me a favor. Tell Devin I said hi. Tell him I said to behave himself.
I will.
And you know what, Herm, keep up the great work. This has been an absolute treat. Hope to have you on maybe again after the first of the year. When I call this part of the stretch the marathon, After Christmas, after New Year's, that's when the sprint comes. I'd love to have you on maybe the end of January, 1st of February. We'll preview the regionals for D2. What do you say?
It sounds like a plan.
All right. He's David Herm from Hockey House Podcast, joining us here on the show tonight. And keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Lou. Appreciate you for having me.
All right. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go over the rankings real quick. The preseason rankings are out in men's Division 1. We'll go through those again. And then coming up at 8:30, Tim Healy from North Carolina State, the IcePack. They've made the move to D1. He's going to come on and tell us a little bit about that transition and how their season's going. You're watching the ACHA Power Play. It's live right here on the Captain Lou Sports Network. Hi, everybody. Captain Lou here. Hey, is there a ball game you want to go to last minute? How about the Spartans at Spartan Stadium? Go to the Big House to watch the Wolverines. Is there an NFL game you want to go to? Lambeau Field, Ford Field, wherever, Baltimore. How about the Tigers for the pennant drive? Well, go to SeatGeek. Get those tickets there. Use the promo code Captain Lou right on the screen, and you'll get $20 off of your purchase. It's that simple. So go to the Spartan game. Go to the Big House. But use the promo code Captain Lou at SeatGeek, and you'll be all set. Indeed, you will. And don't forget, the NHL starting up next Tuesday, and with the banner raising for the Panthers against the Blackhawks. And join us tomorrow on the Captain Lou Extravaganza, 7 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to have our preview, our hockey preview. We've got Max Baltman from The Athletic with our extravagant 8 minutes talking about the Red Wings. And we've got Rod Peterson from the Rod Peterson Show on as well, talking the Florida Panthers and all things NHL. So make sure you check that out. But if you're going to go to a game, use SeatGeek. And again, use the promo code Captain Lou. You get $20 off your purchase. It's that simple. Thanks to David Herman, for joining us here on the network with his perspective, kind of giving us a preview of what to look for in all things ACHA at all the levels. It's so much fun catching up with guys that really put their heart and soul into it with the ACHA and the Hockey House Podcast. They do a wonderful, and it's that simple. They are really good at what they do, and it's so fun to see the enthusiasm that they bring to the plate, helping the ACHA grow. That's what it's all about. All right, let's take a quick look at the rankings in Division 1 on the men's side. These are the first rankings. Now, remember, these are preseason rankings. The computer rankings, they will not come out until November 2nd. Those, I guess, may what you call the true rankings to kind of gauge where you need to go. Now, remember, the top 24 teams are what make the national tournament down in St. Louis in 2026. 8 automatic buys, and then you get 16 at-large rankings. So usually, to be safe, you want to be around number 20, maybe 19, 18 to get yourself a spot. So let's just hypothetically say it ended today, and these would be the 24 teams. You got the defending national champions, the Skating Rebels at number 1, Adrian at 2, Minot at 3, Liberty at 4, Ohio at 5, Jamestown at 6, Maryville at 7, Niagara at 8, Drury at 9, and Utah at 10. All mainstays. It seems like we always see them at the national tournament. Then you've got Calvin at 11, Grand Canyon at 12, Arizona at 13, UMary at 14, Purdue Northwest at 15, Oswego at 16, Indiana Tech 17, Midland at 18, Oklahoma at 19. Then you've got Pitt at 20, Arizona State at 21, Delaware at 22, Grand Valley at 23, then Stony Brook at 24, and Colorado at 25. So there are some teams out there that made the jump to D1. NC State, UNC, Kentucky, Alabama, just to name a few. You're going to see teams that bump up into computer rankings and teams that go down in these rankings once the new rankings come up. But this is kind of like a preseason coaches ranking, if you will. There's something, if nothing else, throw a dart at, some fodder back and forth. It's always fun to talk about things like this at the level for talking preseason rankings, just to kind of get everybody fired up for the top 25. And here's a team that I think will probably make a run to the top 25 or the top 20 by the end of the year. Exciting things going down in the southeast part of the country, and that's North Carolina State's the IcePack. And we're pleased and honored to be joined by their head coach, Tim Healy. Tim, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, and Captain Lou, the honor is all mine to be here with you. There's so many great coaches and great players that you could spend your time with. So, the honor is really all mine. And for your second episode of the year to be included on it, we're grateful.
Well, I appreciate taking time out. I love talking hockey, and what I like about you and your team, the enthusiasm, number one, it shows. And we were talking in the last segment about how hockey, it really exploded in the last 20 to 25 years, but at the ACHA level, it's just jumped in leaps and bounds with you folks in North Carolina, in that area, especially in the last decade. Outdoor games where you're getting tens of thousands of people.
26, but
wow.
Who's counting?
That is amazing. I love it.
But, yeah, and I think what's really different about our region, and there's other regions that are the same way, Pacific Northwest, for example, but with Alabama Huntsville folding their Division I team, this is the most college sports mad area of the country. And there's no NCAA teams, which means we are our school's college hockey teams, right? Yeah. We are NC State's college hockey team. And and we are the state of North Carolina's college hockey team because we're 65% in state. And you can see that story repeated again and again, right? Georgia, they are Georgia's college hockey team. And these are college sports mad areas. And and again, what is a little bit different about us too, that sets us apart is Raleigh, North Carolina, and Charlotte to some degree have great youth hockey feeder programs that we actually are able to have great in-state players too. And that's a little bit of a challenge for some of the other places in the South. So for us, it's really, it works on two angles, right? NC State, all these colleges have great school spirit, and, Raleigh is a great hockey town too.
So, yeah, you brought up the homegrown talent. I looked at your roster, Tim. Was it 20 of your kids are from North Carolina?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it. Number one, NC State is really competitive to get into if you're out of state, particularly, we have a lot of engineering kids. Yeah. Engineering out of state, that's less than 20%. Out of state in general is in the 30s, right? Mm-hmm. So just the pure math of it, it's easier to get an in-state kid in for starters. And then secondly, we take a lot of pride in having in-state kids. And that really started in 2018, 2019 with our first run to nationals on the D2 level. Yeah. It was like, this is a bunch of North Carolina kids doing this. And, we love our out-of-state kids. We, Victor Hugo was two captains ago, an out-of-state kid, but there's a lot of pride in doing this with homegrown kids. And I think that makes us really different than any other team in the South. So did I freeze on you? All right.
No, I'm sorry. It blipped out just for a second. My internet is doing tricks on me here tonight.
All good.
All this weather in Michigan. I'll tell you, this beautiful weather, we're not used to it here with October 1st around the corner. So now you're at the D1 level this year. You made the bump up. How long was it in the thinking to get here? And was it a difficult process? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I would say it's taken us 50 years to get here, right?
Right.
Next year will be our 50th anniversary. And,
nice.
For us, it was, again, that 2018, 2019 year. Before that, we hadn't made regionals since the early 2000s. We didn't really know what the landscape was beyond our own ACC. And when we got down and we popped our heads out and, we saw Minot play that year. And so it was like, okay, this is something different. And this is something we want to be a part of. We saw what the highest level was. And, NC State is a first-class university. And at that moment, it was kind of this belief like NC State deserves to have the best and deserves to have at the highest level it possibly can, which obviously would be NCAA Division I, but that's not really in the cards. And I hate, anyone that says it is in these Southern schools really doesn't understand the political landscape of college sports right now. Yeah. But for us, we want to bring, it was that moment like, okay. And what funny thing that happened that year was that was the CHF split, right?
Yes.
And after that off season. And we really became the firewall against that in the South because our players, we had been the only team that had been the ACHA Nationals, and we kind of had played some of these other teams, and our guys were like, no. We want to take on the best. And that was really when it was like the seed was planted with me of what do we need to get up there? And then, having conversations with guys like Kirk Handy and Dave Kurtz. And I think what you see with a lot of ACHA D2 teams sometimes is they'll get a great group. And maybe Oklahoma State has that group right now. Mm-hmm. And we certainly had that group. We had Riley Johnson who played in the BCHL, Colby Peterson and played in the BC, we had, and it was like, okay, that was lightning in a bottle. But for me, I wanted to make sure it was sustainable and that we turned the roster over a few times and we were still competing. Number two was we're not a school that's fully funded. We only get $3,000 from the university. We wanted to make sure the business side was in order. Our ticket sales, jersey sales, community support, community sponsorships, all that stuff was in place, right? Because when we made that jump, and let's be honest, there are some teams that are in ACHA 1 that are just kind of riding because they've been there, and they're not really building to compete. And that might be controversial to say it, but it's not. It's fact.
Right.
And when we made the jump, I wanted us to be ready to compete. And I wanted us to be ready to compete. And I'm not saying we're ready to walk out and play for a national championship with UNLV or Minot yet. But what I wanted was the blocks are in place now. We have a huge freshman class. We have depth. We have the size. Playing Liberty D1, it was like, okay, these are the deficiencies we have. We didn't have the depth. We didn't have the size in the past. We have that now, right? And so those types of things were really important. And then I also think just budget. You can't be on an island financially. So getting some other teams that were ready to come along with us. Yeah. And the reality is for us, ticket sales are important. So having a conference of big name, big brand schools is really important, right? Dan Huntley is one of my best friends of coaches out there. Yeah. Mary came into town a few years ago. Number one, it was our most lethargic crowd ever. I could bring ECU in and I'm going to sell out the building. So really important to be able to have those big brand schools are a Division I to our economics, while we also educate the populace of, who are the good teams. Like, we had a great crowd for Liberty, right? We've educated our people around here that Liberty is a great hockey program coming in. So those big brands, why we do the education necessary of our fans who, honestly, it's pretty complete. They know who the good teams are now.
Well, one of the things I've noticed too, and this has got to be a bonus, you talk about growing the brand and getting the name out there. You're able to get your home games at least on ESPN Plus. And wow, that is absolutely phenomenal, Tim. My hat's off to you.
Well, we're an ambitious program on all parts, right? So we're ambitious on the ice, but we've been lucky. We've had BJ Tarrant and PAC TV, who has broadcast our games since the infancy. And what's really fun is if you were to go look at our old broadcasts, you see our broadcast rise as our team rides. And that is a really ambitious crew. And they're always asking, what's the next thing? Like we are on the hockey side, what's the next thing? So we've had this parallel growth. And, there's a lot with his team and PAC TV, who produces and still covers the game and repackages it as for ESPN. There's a lot of what can we do next? Right? They're trying to get the rink to let us put in permanent over goal cams and stuff like that. Like they're always what's next. And so to have PAC TV along from this ride, but yes, being on ESPN is pretty special. It really is.
So let's take a look at the team you got this year. You've started out, in my opinion, you've done very, very well. You played Liberty. You lost in overtime, 1-0. I know you lost on the first game. But, you've had some big wins over Kentucky, Maryland, Georgia, or Virginia Tech. You're on a roll now, and confidence is huge. I don't care what anybody says. Confidence and momentum, and it's starting to show.
Well, this team culture, and if you look at the Kentucky wins and even the Liberty game, right? Like the first Liberty game was 4-2, and we went up 1-0. They tied it. We actually went down 4-1, got it back to 4-2, and had some good chances in that third. And then the Liberty game that we lost 1-0 in overtime with a minute left, to go into LaHaye and get a point on the road that's not a small accomplishment, right? And yes, they outshot us. We have an amazing goalie in Ethan Roberts, but we actually had 3 really good chances with a minute and a half left to win that game. So And then you go to the Kentucky game. That first Friday night, we were down. Kentucky outplayed us. There's zero question about it.
Yeah.
We're down 3-1 with 3 minutes to go, and we find a way to win that game. And then the next night, I felt like we outplayed them, still down 1-0, and found a way, with 10 minutes left, down 1-2. So there's an internal belief. And if you look at us last year, I think we lost something like, I'm normally pretty good with stats. I stopped paying attention to this one because it was too painful. We lost something like 6 or 7 overtime or shootout games. And you called the one at Miami of Ohio in the regionals. Like,
yeah,
we were finding new and inventive ways to lose games. Right now, we're finding ways to win games. We only had one 5-on-5 goal until the third period of Kentucky. But we were still winning games because 6-on-5 special teams. Now we're scoring 5-on-5 goals, thankfully. But there's just something about this team and this culture right now that they're finding ways to win. And it's a lot of fun and never giving up. I mean, the end of the Liberty game, that felt a little bit like Rocky 1, where both teams are coming off the ice. We went the distance and yeah, they got the win. And yeah, they probably threw more haymakers than we did, but both teams got off the ice. And so, that was a pretty special game to be part of on both ends. And it was a lot of fun. And I think that's when the team got in the locker room and said, wait a second, the whole math on our season has changed. Jake Gifford, a sophomore, said, hey guys, this is the standard now. And if we don't do it, we're wasting it.
Tim Healy's joining us. He's the head coach of the IcePack in North Carolina State here on the ACHA Power Play, live on the Captain Lou Sports Network. You mentioned it. You're getting great goaltending. I look at all three of your goalies. Any coach will tell you it all starts at the back end, and that's a wonderful problem to have when you've got 3 goaltenders putting up some great numbers this early in the year.
It's an embarrassment of riches. It really is. I mean, and what's crazy is we actually have a goalie that once found out that Ethan Roberts was coming, deferred, and is in the NCDC right now and is coming next year. So, but yeah, they've each come to us in different ways. Isaac Toyer, 5-year senior, has stayed with the program. It's just amazing technique, become a leader for us. Peter Bartasel, he was a guy that played juniors down here, kind of fell out of love of the game. And then last year, he's working at a rink in Rochester, going to school. And the Null team, the Rochester Junior Americans, they couldn't keep a third goalie around and needed him for practices. So he practiced with them all year. And their assistant coach, Alyssa Gallardi, who is from Raleigh, she played at Cornell, had some cups of coffee with Team USA. She called me and said, Tim, this kid loves North Carolina, and he's really good. And he sent us some video, and it was just fantastic. And, you look at the Georgia overtime, the behind-the-back save he made, and then coming out for the assist. He hadn't played in a meaningful hockey game in 2 years, and you're in overtime in a packed house in Georgia. And then what can you say about Ethan Roberts, right? He took Utica to a Frozen Four, played on the inaugural D1 team. But, what all these three have in common is they're here because we're a great academic school. And, Ethan was looking at this and saying, okay, I can play out my NCAA stuff, but I could go home, get a top 25 public degree, and play ACHA Division I, which really – I think the genie is out of the bottle. The higher end teams now are as good as a lot of D3 teams and better than a lot of D3 teams. There's no question about it.
There's no doubt about it, and you hit the nail on the head.
By the way, we actually have a fourth goalie, Dylan Christie, who's pretty solid too. But again, and he actually is doing. Duke has some special roster exemptions, and he won a game. We practiced with us, but played for Duke the other night and won them a game. So, I mean, and these are 4 goalies that would make any team. They're a special group.
And you got 11 power play goals in 7 games. Not too bad.
Yeah, we're opportunistic, and it's. When our guys are finding holes, they're finishing, right? And you're probably not going to keep up 42% throughout the course of the year. If we do, we'll meet you in St. Louis. Right. But they're opportunistic. They play together, and we really have all the ingredients. If you look at, I think, our second power play goal, against Virginia Tech the other night. Came off a Aiden Reedy tip, who was a big bumper, right? And then you have Reese Johnson, who had a snipe from the bumper. You have two really good quarterbacks in Nick Labrizzi on the one unit and Eric Darlene on the other. And then you have some real good snipers too, with, Prasma and Herman and Gifford and great diggers with Kaufman and Go. Like, we just have all the right ingredients with it. It's been special to watch.
So do you have any outdoor games planned for this year?
Oh, we do. Absolutely. We're at Truist Field against Alabama. Second weekend in November.
Okay.
Really excited for it. I guess outdoor games, that's kind of our thing, but Truist Field, they do a great job down there, but nothing will ever top Frozen Finley being in our home football stadium and that crowd coming off the Hurricanes game earlier in that weekend. And the other fun thing was that weekend also gave birth to the frigid sound of the South and having our own band at college hockey games, which was pretty special too. So, but yeah, our guys have had just so many great experiences down here. The alumni game last year versus the Canes alumni. And sometimes I'm just speechless at all the experiences our guys have had and that I've been fortunate to be a part of.
We got a couple of minutes left. I want to expound on one last thing. You mentioned it. First and foremost, these kids go to get an education. And when I started covering the ACHA over a decade ago, the thing that really stood out to me is how disciplined these kids are, organized, more so than I ever was when I was 20, 19, 21 years old. They got to go to class. A lot of these kids skate at midnight or 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning. They got to keep their grades, and they got to play hockey. I mean, it's just, I marvel at that, and everything that you guys are doing to promote the game and to get up, get the word out. It's a hats off to you and your kids. I'm amazed by it.
Well, and it's not just us. Shane Willis of the Canes have helped us. Admissions. Not that we get any special stuff. Like, they've really done a good job of helping me. Who's the kid that's going to be successful at NC State when we go out and look at them? We've graduated. There's only 2 kids that haven't graduated in 5 years since I've been here. And they'll get their degrees too, but yeah, it's a special group. If I could leave you with this, just on the academic side of it, the big Canes are kicking the tires on signing one of the Canadian junior guys. And I don't want to go in this political wormhole too much, but there was a comment made about an NHL player when they were 18 or 19 and knowing stuff. And it was a conversation in the back of our bus this weekend. And the guys were talking about, from their business law class, the difference between legal, moral, and ethical, right? Right. And bringing that to the table. It's like, to your point, Lou, I don't know if those conversations were happening in the back of our buses way back then. And you would have been, anyone out there would have been proud, and how these young men were carrying the conversation and talking about it in an intelligent way, because it's an intelligent group of kids, and it's replicated all over the ACHA.
Well, that's why I keep doing it, for the love of the game. I know that's why the kids do it. And Tim, that's why you do it. I have a gut feel. I can tell in your voice, and it's just so much fun to be around, and I appreciate everything that you do.
Well, and if I'm even more in my voice, like, this team has me really excited. It's almost like, it's almost like the excitement of switching to a new job, but I haven't. I'm still at a great university, still great stuff. And the best part is I've had the same staff the whole time too, which is awesome.
Tim, thank you as always for coming on. This has been an absolute treat. Can't wait to catch up with you again. Good luck the rest of the year, and hope to talk to you soon down the road.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lou. And of course, any Pack fans out there, go Pack.
All right. He's Tim Healy. He is the head coach of the IcePack of North Carolina State. Check their games out, their home games on ESPN+. They're doing so many good things down in the state of Carolina for North Carolina, for the ACHA. It's just a fun brand to watch. Wow, this time has flown by. But as we say, the whistle is sounded, the horn is sounded. That means we're done. Next Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we'll have another edition, episode 3, season 10 of the ACHA Power Play. Thanks to Herm, David Herman, for joining us here tonight from the Hockey House podcast, and Tim Healy, the head coach of North Carolina State, for taking time out to be with us tonight. And thanks to you, the viewer, for welcoming us into your homes, on your computers, on your laptops, however you watched us around the world here on the ACHA Power Play and the Captain Lou Sports Network. The show will be archived. You can catch it anytime on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. We invite you to subscribe to our channel to get all of our Power Play podcasts. All right, everybody, till next time, Captain Lou saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. So long, everybody.